The first thing Captain Jace Kade noticed about Aurelion IX was that the sky looked wounded. It wasn't a normal dusk. Above him, the gas giant filled half the heavens like a bruised god, bands of violet and gold boiling slowly. 3 fractured moons floated nearby, their surfaces veined with glacial blue. Between them, the thin atmosphere of Aurelion IX turned every ray of starlight into a shimmering dust haze, as if the world itself was exhaling light. The ground crunched under his boots' pale crystalline sand that chimed softly with each step. Spires of glassy rock rose all around, twisted and translucent, giving the impression of walking through the ribs of some titanic creature. Jace adjusted the seals on his helmet and checked the HUD flickering across his visor. Mission: retrieve black box. Site: wreck of Aurelian courier Sailther. Status: no hostiles detected. Duration: 30 minutes in Atmos max. A simple salvage run, in and out. Collect the black box from the crashed alien courier ship, get paid, hop to the next miserable rock. Piece of cake, Jace muttered. Correction, said the AI in his ear. Probability of unforeseen variables in any field operation. 62%. Yeah. Well, add 10% for your optimism too, Kismet. Updating, Kismet replied cheerfully. Ahead, over a jagged ridge, the wreck appeared. The alien ship looked like a falling crescent moon, silk-smooth hull broken in 3 places, still glimmering faintly with residual bioluminescence. Organic plating peeled back like cracked shell. Pale, luminous vines, some kind of native fungus, had already begun to creep over the wreck, drinking in whatever exotic residue leaked from its veins. Jace slid down the ridge, sand chiming around him, and approached the breach in the hull. Radiation? He asked, with intolerances. Structural stability. Compromised but non-catastrophic, Kismet reported. You have a 23-minute safety window if internal supports do not further degrade. Plenty of time. He ducked inside. The interior of the Sailther was a cathedral of soft curves and dim, pulsing lights. Walls of nacreous organic material arched overhead, still breathing faintly. Broken conduits spilled out shimmering filaments that twitched at his presence. The air thin, metallic, and floral fogged his visor in spectral patterns. The Aurelian Empire. Everyone called them graceful, advanced, superior. Their ships were living art, their tech decades ahead of the Terran Compact. But they fell, same as everyone else, when something hit them hard enough. Black box is forward, near the command node, Kismet guided. Marking route. A trail appeared on his HUD, leading him through corridors that tilted at awkward angles. He stepped over a frozen smear of iridescent blood. An Aurelian officer lay crumpled in a harness, 4 fingers relaxed in death, eyes like pearls shattered and empty. Any life signs? Jace asked quietly. Scanning? Negative, Kismet answered. All biological signatures register as deceased or decaying. Poor bastards, he murmured. Empire sends you. Empire forgets you. Seen it before. Human, Aurelian, or other. Kismet asked. Pick a flag, Jace replied. He pushed onward, boots echoing hollowly. The command node was a circular chamber with a semi-translucent dome overhead, cracked to reveal the raw sky. Starlight speared in, catching dust motes and drifting spores. In the center, a crystalline heart-like structure lay cracked and dark, the ship's core. The black box was embedded within, a dark polyhedral device contrasting against glistening white tissue. There you are, Jace said. He moved toward it, pulling out his extraction tools. That's when Kismet spoke again, voice tight. Jace, new data. I am reading a life sign. He froze. You said there were none. Correction, Kismet replied. There are now. Low signal, very weak, 10 meters below your current position. Species tag. Aurelian. Female. Critical condition. Jace looked around the chamber. There's no below. Just open hull, and a soft sound reached him. A broken, breathy whimper. Somewhere beneath the torn decks. Jace clenched his jaw. The contract is for the black box only, Kismet reminded him. The Empire likely wrote off this vessel. Salvage rights transfer to tag it, Jace said. Jace, Kismet, tag it. A dot appeared on his HUD, slightly behind and below. Jace moved toward a cracked section of the floor where biometal had buckled and twisted. A narrow gap yawned, and from it the faint sound came again, half cough, half sob. He switched on his suit's floodlight and angled it down the gap. In the shadows, partly pinned beneath warped support struts, was an Aurelian woman. Her skin was a soft, opalescent lavender, luminous veins tracing delicate patterns along her throat and temples. Bioluminescent tattoos pulsed faintly along her collarbones, shifting through pale blues and greens in a weak, disordered rhythm. Her hair, if it could be called that, was a shimmering mantle of tendrils, limp and tangled with dust and blood. She looked up at the light, pupils contracting, and flinched, raising a trembling four-fingered hand as if to shield herself. "Please," she whispered in accented trade. "Do not leave me." Jace's stomach clenched. He knew the rules. He was a human contractor under Aurelian oversight. The Empire paid for the black box. Not for heroics, not for charity, and definitely not for rescuing one more scorched piece on their galactic chessboard. Kismet spoke, soft but insistent. "Jace, Aurelian command codes indicate that in the event of a catastrophic crash, non-essential crew are expendable. Recovery priority is the black box and command data. She is not your mission." Yeah, he knew. He also knew the expression in her eyes because he'd seen it in refugees on burned-out colony worlds, in kids on the losing side of someone's idea of peacekeeping. The expression that said, "Everyone decided my life costs too much to bother saving." Jace holstered his tool, dropped to one knee by the gap, and extended a gloved hand. "Hey," he said gently. "Name?" She blinked slowly, as if surprised someone was asking. "Lysera," she whispered. "Lysera, I'm Jace," he said. "Human salvage rat. Terran compact. And we're getting you out of there." Her lips parted in confusion. "But your orders." "Orders can catch up later," Jace answered, already unhooking a microlifter. "Hang on, Jace," Kismet warned. "Hull integrity is deteriorating. You are reducing your safety window below acceptable parameters." The black box. "Goes in my bag after the person not dying," he snapped. "Help me plot the best leverage points." A beat of digital silence. Then, quietly, rooting structural map. He set the microlifter under the twisted beam pinning her and activated it. The device hummed, field generators whining as they pushed upward against the metal. Slowly, painfully, the beam rose a few centimeters. Lysera cried out, teeth clenched, bioluminescent tattoos stuttering with pain. "Easy, easy," Jace murmured. "I've got you." As soon as the gap widened, he slid down, ignoring Kismet's rapid-fire complaints about angles, stability, and particular ways he might die. He got his arms under Lysera and began easing her free. Her legs were a mess, one twisted at an unnatural angle, the other bleeding luminous fluid. Her breathing hitched. "You should leave," she whispered. "Empire will not pay for me. They will be angry if you disobey." "Lady," Jace said, voice rough, "they'd have to come all the way out here to be mad at me." "They won't, so I'm not worried." Her gaze searched his face, purple eyes full of pain and a fragile hope she was trying not to feel. "Why?" She breathed. "Why would a human save me?" "Because he was human, and humans didn't walk away from someone begging not to be left alone under broken sky." "Because it's what we do," Jace said simply. "Humans are idiots about this kind of thing." He lifted her up. She was lighter than she looked. She gasped and clutched at his chest plate, leaving luminous smears on the matte armor. Above them, the hull groaned ominously. "Kismet, fastest way out," Jace said, stumbling back toward the crack in the floor. "Recalculating," Kismet replied. "Recommend. Abandon the black box and proceed directly to extraction point." Jace grinned faintly, despite the tension knotting his shoulders. "Now you're talking my language." Behind him, deep in the ship, something broke with a sharp, echoing crack. Lysera flinched, burying her face against his chest, fingers digging in like she expected him to vanish at any second. He tightened his grip. "Don't worry," he said, as the ship began to die around them. "You're not getting rid of me that easy." And in that moment, in the bleeding light of a broken alien sky, Jace Kade chose. Not the contract. Not the Empire. Her. The Sailther screamed as it died. Not sound, not really. It was the way the hull shuddered, the way bioluminescent veins flickered wildly along the walls, the way the entire structure thrummed with failing systems. The living metal that had once flowed like muscle now spasmed and cracked. Jace hauled Lysera up through the gap and into the command node, muscles burning. She clung to him, breath ragged, tendrils of her hair brushing his shoulder plates in panic twitching. "Status?" he barked. "Catastrophic failure in progress," Kismet said briskly. "Reactor breach in 90 seconds. Hull collapse probability." "Got it," Jace cut in. "Bad." He bolted toward the exit corridor. The floor tilted sharply and he nearly lost his footing. Crystalline dust slid in bright cascades. Overhead, the cracked dome shrieked as a fracture widened, showering them with glittering shards. Lysera coughed, luminescent blood flecking his visor. "If you had taken the black box, you would be gone by now," she whispered bitterly. "Safe," he snorted as he ran. "Yeah, well, safe is overrated. Besides, you think I'm letting a ship beat me in a race?" Another tremor rolled through the vessel. A support arch splintered ahead, crashing down in slow, terrible grace. "Jace!" Kismet shouted. "Obstacle incoming. Working on it." He hit his jump pack. The micro-thrusters flared, lifting him and Lysera in a short, brutal arc over the falling beam. For a heartbeat, they were suspended in the flickering biolight, weightless amid dust and shards. Then they crashed down on the other side, Jace grunting as his knees took the shock. Behind them, the arch slammed into the floor, sealing off the route they'd just come from. Lysera stared back, eyes wide. "You are insane. Humans prefer resourceful," he panted. "Also stubborn and terrible at quitting. You abandon your mission, risk your life for a stranger, defy your employers, and leap through a collapsing ship," she muttered. "On my world, we call that insane. On mine, we call it a Tuesday." The corridor twisted downward, lights flickering in strobe bursts. Organic conduits burst open, spraying out floating spores that glittered in the beam of his helmet. The ship's internal gravity field buckled, making each step feel slightly wrong. "Left or right?" Jace demanded. "Right," Kismet replied instantly. "Left corridor leads through a ruptured deck with vacuum exposure." "Good, I like breathing." He veered right. Behind them, a bloom of light flickered, a distant internal explosion. The air pressure changed. Lysera winced, ears flattening briefly against her head. They will not forgive this," she whispered. "The Empire does not appreciate disobedience. Good thing I'm not on their payroll," Jace said. "You wear their crest," she countered weakly, eyes flicking to the small Aurelian emblem on his pauldron. He grimaced. "Contract work. A crest just so their bureaucracy doesn't shoot me on sight, usually. Then—" "You could have walked away," she said. "Let me die. No one would have blamed you." He slowed for just a breath, meeting her gaze through his visor. "You would have," he said softly. Her lips parted, no answer ready. Another tremor. This one harder. Bulkheads snapped, spraying shards and viscous fluids. A section of the floor ahead simply collapsed, dropping away into a tangle of glowing cables and broken supports. "Dead end," Jace hissed. "Not quite," Kismet said. "Emergency vent shaft 2 meters to your left, downward angle. Leads closer to external hull breach." Jace turned. A circular iris in the wall pulsed faintly, cycling between open and closed as the ship spasmed. "That's too small for," Lysera began. "Hold on," Jace told her. He hit the release. The iris dilated reluctantly, extruding a cluster of sensory tendrils that brushed his gauntlet like curious fingers. The shaft beyond was narrow, steep, slick with biogel. "I am not certain this is a good idea," Kismet noted. "Welcome to the Jace Kade experience," he said. "All right, Lysera, this will suck. Ready?" She swallowed, nodding weakly. "You have a strange way of offering comfort." He grinned. "You're still here to be offered comfort. That's the good part." He slid into the shaft feet first, bracing his shoulders against the sides, keeping Lysera cradled against his chest. The gel smeared his visor, warping the limited light into strange halos. They started to slide more quickly than he liked. "Jace, friction insufficient to control velocity," Kismet said calmly. "Yeah, I noticed." They shot downward, the shaft curving violently. Jace tried to slow using his boots and shoulders, but the slick organic walls offered little purchase. Lysera's fingers dug into the seams of his armor. "If this is one of your Tuesdays. She managed through clenched teeth. I do not wish to experience your Fridays. He laughed, a wild bark. I like you, Lysera. The shaft spat them out into a secondary corridor, sending them tumbling. Jace twisted midair, taking the brunt of the impact with his back. Pain lanced through him, but his armor held. He lay there for a second, catching his breath. Lysera sprawled across him. Her luminous tattoos flickered weakly against his chest plate. Still with me? He asked. I believe so, she said faintly. Unless this is the afterlife. In which case, I am very disappointed. Sorry to let you down. He pushed himself upright. Exit? Straight ahead. 20 meters. Kismet replied. Exterior breach with manageable pressure differential. Music to my ears. He half ran, half limped down the corridor. Ahead, a ragged hole gaped in the hull, showing the crystalline plains outside and the gas giant looming overhead like a watching eye. Just as they reached the breach, the ship's core went. Light flared from deep within the sail thur, blinding even through Jace's visor. A roar followed air, debris, and burning fragments blasting outward. Jace dove through the breach, twisting to shield Lysera with his body as the world exploded behind them. The shockwave hit like a train. He felt himself lifted, thrown, spinning through a blizzard of glass and fire. The ground rushed up, hard and unforgiving. They struck and slid, crystalline sand screaming against his armor. Then, silence, except for the distant thunder of the disintegrating ship. Jace groaned, systems HUD flickering hazily. Everybody okay? He muttered. Systems compromised but functional, Kismet replied. Suit integrity 89%. Neural load acceptable. You, however, are making poor life choices. Nothing new. He shifted. Lysera? She still clung to him, arms tight around his torso, eyes squeezed shut. Slowly, she opened them, violet irises reflecting the burning wreck. You kept your word, she whispered. Yeah, he said, voice softer. Told you you weren't getting rid of me that easy. Her lips trembled in a strange smile. You are very human. I'll try not to be offended. Above, the sailthur finally broke apart entirely, raining incandescent shards onto the plains. The sky bled light again. Lysera watched, expression tightening. Another Aurelian ship, another crew. Another acceptable loss, she murmured. Jace followed her gaze. His jaw hardened. Yeah, about that. What? She asked. Something doesn't sit right with me, he said. Kismet, that courier's route, it was supposed to be safe space, right? Deep in Aurelian territory. Confirmed, Kismet said. No known hostile fleets, no pirate activity. The odds of catastrophic incident here are extremely low without external interference. Lysera looked at the spreading debris, then at him. You think this was not an accident? I think, Jace said slowly. Either somebody wanted this ship very dead, or very quiet. And you just saved the one survivor they didn't plan on, Kismet added. Lysera's bioluminescent tattoos dimmed with unease. There are things the Empire does not speak of, she whispered. Ships that vanish, worlds that disappear from the star charts, whispers of a cleansing protocol for inconvenient populations. Jace stared at her. Like genocide? She flinched at the word, like administrative erasure. Anger, hot and clean, bloomed in his gut. Of course. Neat, tidy. No witnesses. Lysera hesitated, then reached up with trembling fingers and pressed them against the side of his helmet, as if she wished she could touch the skin beneath. You saved me, she said, so I will tell you something forbidden. I'm listening. Her eyes glowed faintly brighter. I am not just an officer. I am a witness, Jace frowned. That's a rank? No, she said. A burden. I see things, feel echoes. Past, possible futures, memories imprinted in places and people. The Empire uses us to guide policy, to choose paths that favor them. A psychic, Jace translated. She nodded once. But I have also seen their shadows. Records of cleansings. Whole sectors wiped to preserve Aurelian dominance. They are planning something bigger, worse. Kismet's voice was hushed. Jace, If she's telling the truth, the Empire is committing secret war crimes on a scale we haven't even suspected. Jace exhaled slowly, watching the ashes of the ship drift down like glittering snow. Then I guess we're in this deeper than a salvage run, he said. Lysera's voice shook. There are people, whole civilizations, who will die if this continues, and the other empires. The Compact. They have no idea. Something old and dangerous settled behind Jace's eyes. Then we give them a reason to listen, he said. We make sure the galaxy hears what your empire's been hiding. Lysera stared at him, hope and fear warring in her expression. You would stand against the Aurelian Empire? For strangers? Not for strangers, Jace said quietly. For you. And for everyone with the same look you had under that beam, thinking nobody would come. Her breath caught. Humans, she whispered, as if tasting the word anew. You are terrifying. He managed a crooked grin. We get that a lot. They reached Jace's shuttle, a battered compact craft half buried in crystalline sand, a few minutes later. Its hull was a patchwork of repairs, Terran alloy welded to salvaged Aurelian plating. The name Rust Bucket was painted near the airlock in 3 languages, as if daring anyone to underestimate it. Jace lowered Lysera carefully onto the ramp. She winced, clutching at her shattered leg. Easy, he said. Once we're inside, medkit and stabilizers. Kismet, cycle the airlock. Wait, Lysera whispered. Jace paused, helmet tilted. What's wrong? Her eyes were unfocused, tattoos along her throat flickering like a glitching constellation. She turned her gaze slowly upward, to the sky beyond the shuttle. There is heat, she murmured. Anger. A presence cutting through the void. Jace frowned. Kismet? 1 moment, the AI said. A second passed. Detecting gravitational disturbance. Warp signature entering local space. Large mass. Military hull profile. Aurelian. A rescue ship? Jace asked. Negative, Kismet replied. Energy signature matches. Battlecruiser. Designation. Imperial Justice. Flagship of Admiral Serath Vall. Lysera went rigid. Serath, she whispered. No. You know this guy? Jace asked. She shut her eyes, despair and dread flooding her features. He commands the cleansing fleets. He oversees the witness corps. If he is here, he will ensure there are no survivors. Too late for that, Jace muttered. We're very much surviving over here. Lysera grabbed his arm, nails digging into armor. You must leave me, she hissed. Take your ship, run. He will scan this world, find my signature. He will kill you to keep me silent. Jace just stared at her for a moment. Then, slowly, he shook his head. See, I thought we covered this, he said. I don't leave people behind. This is different, she insisted, eyes blazing. This is the Empire's executioner. He cleans mistakes. I am a mistake that lived. If you stay, you die for nothing. Not nothing, Jace said. You just told me you've seen them erase entire worlds. That's not nothing. That's a reason. Her breath hitched. Why does your kind choose the hardest path? He smiled faintly. Occupational hazard of being human. Above, space tore silently. The Imperial Justice emerged, a blade of obsidian metal wreathed in golden shields. Massive and predatory, its hull bristling with weapon spines. Elegant, terrible, it turned slowly, casting a shadow even on the distant planet below. Kismet's tone was grim. We cannot fight that. Didn't say we would, Jace replied. But we don't have to fight the whole ship. Just buy enough time to... I don't know. Survive creatively. Lysera's tattoos flickered with sharp fear. He will send a kill team. Specialized units. They will target witness signatures. I could hide mine for a short time, but can you? A ritual, she said shakily. A joining of patterns. Our minds briefly linked. I can mask my signature and yours. They will look for Aurelian psychic imprints. But the human pattern is chaotic, difficult to read. It may confuse them. Jace raised a brow, so psychic cloaking... Just had to ask. It is intimate, she warned, cheeks flushing faintly violet. Dangerous. Our minds were not meant to touch in this way. If you are not strong enough, you could... Fracture. And if we don't do it, we both die ugly, he said. Yes, she whispered. He looked at the looming battlecruiser, then back at her. Well, he said, I've had worse dates. Her eyes widened, then, to his surprise, she laughed, a short, startled sound, half hysterical. Your humor in the face of death is deeply disturbing. It's either that or panic. Humor's more productive. He knelt beside her. What do you need me to do? She swallowed. Sit. Close your eyes. Remove your helmet. Kismet immediately protested. Jace, atmospheric particulate count and microbial density. We're both already contaminated with half a ship's worth of alien muck, Jace said, unlatching his helmet. I'll live. He popped the seal. A rush of thin, cold air kissed his face, carrying the sharp, metallic sweet scent of the alien world and the faint floral undertone of Lysera's blood. The sky above looked even bigger without polarized glass between him and it. Lysera stared, momentarily distracted. What? He asked. I have never seen a human's face up close, she admitted softly. Your eyes are very bright. Just wait till you see my morning hair, he said. That's the real horror. She smiled faintly, then grew serious. Gently, she reached up and placed both her hands against his temples, cool fingers splayed. The tendrils of her hair lifted slightly, as if in an unseen breeze drawn toward him. Breathe, she whispered. Open your thoughts, let mine in. He closed his eyes. At first, there was only his own breath, the distant rumble of the battlecruiser's engines, Kismet's faint background data murmur. Then something else, a feather-light touch at the edge of his awareness. A brush, a question. He opened. The world vanished. He was standing in a vast, star-filled ocean. Trails of light spiraled around him, each one a memory, a feeling, a decision. Childhood games under the rust-red sky of Mars Station. First deployment in the Belt Wars. The hollow-eyed refugees, the broken cities. The moment he signed his first contract with the Aurelian Empire, telling himself it was just work. Beside him, another presence blossomed. Lysera. He didn't see her so much as feel her, an intricate lattice of luminous patterns, each pulse a thought, a memory, an emotion. Her early years on a crystalline Aurelian world, learning to read the echoes in stone and light. Training in the Witness Academy, eyes turned inward and outward at once. The first time she felt a cleansing from afar, a world dying in silence while the Empire's admirals toasted to stability. Pain. Guilt. Shame. He flinched as those memories touched him, as if the heat of their horror could burn his mind. Careful, her voice echoed, distorted and gentle. We must merge carefully or we both break. Right, he murmured, though his mouth did not move. Not breaking sounds good. Their patterns began to intertwine. Jace felt her impressions of him rough-edged, stubborn, incandescently alive. To her senses, humans were wild things, their minds spiking in chaotic, unpredictable ways. He saw himself as she saw him, a flaring beacon of defiance, a stubborn refusal to accept acceptable losses. She, in turn, let him see the intricacy of her own mind. Delicate, hyper-attuned to the faintest ripple in the tapestry of possibility. Where his thoughts burned like comets, hers flowed like liquid light, weaving around obstacles, seeing cracks in the future. You carry so much, he whispered in that shared space. Too much. It is my duty, she replied quietly. I am a witness. I must see so others can choose. And what if they choose evil? He asked. Her light dimmed. Then it is still my duty to watch. And remember. He reached for her, instinctively, his blazing patterns wrapping around her like a shield. Not alone, he said. Not anymore. A tremor ran through the psychic space. Far above in real space, the Imperial Justice was extending its senses, scanners probing the planet's surface. Lysera stiffened. They are searching, she said. Reaching for my signature. Mask it, he said. Use me. She hesitated. You do not understand. If I pour my pattern into yours, even partly you will carry my memories. My burdens, my feelings. It may crush you. He snorted. Lady, have you met humans? We collect trauma like souvenirs. Something like exasperated fondness rippled through her light. You are impossible. Yeah, he said, grinning. Let's weaponize that. She inhaled somewhere out there, and then her presence surged. Her intricate lattice of light flowed into his, weaving between his comet trails, hiding within his chaos. Where her signature had once been a clear Aurelian pattern, it now became something else. A hybrid, layered, messy thing. Jace gasped. Memories flooded him, Lysera's memories. He saw Admiral Serath Vall through her eyes, tall, severe eyes like polished obsidian glass. The way he smiled when speaking of necessary sacrifices. The way he'd looked at her in the witness chamber saying, "Your gift is a blade, Lysera. Pray you are always the one holding the hilt." He felt her first realization that her visions were being used to plan erasures, not prevent them. The night she had considered defecting to the compact, and the morning she woke to find her comrade, who'd planned to flee with her, simply gone, erased from records. From memory except hers. The certainty that sooner or later she would be removed as well. Pain, fear, quiet. Stubborn hope that maybe, just maybe, someone out there would care. Jace's chest ached with the weight of it. "Hey," he said softly, wrapping his blazing thoughts tighter around hers. "I care. I'm here." "You're not just some asset on a ledger to me. You're you." Her presence shivered, blossoming with warmth. "And you," she whispered, "are not a salvage rat to me." Their minds settled into a new rhythm. 2 patterns, 1 song. Above, the searching probe passed over their position. Lysera held her metaphysical breath. The probe slid on. She exhaled in a shudder. "They did not see," she whispered. "We are hidden. For now." "Good," Jace said, awareness sliding back toward his body. "Now we just have to deal with the part where they're going to send actual murder squads to make sure the planet's clean." "Comforting," she muttered. He laughed, and with a wrenching lurch, reality slammed back. Jace opened his eyes. Lysera's face was inches from his, eyes glowing faintly, hands still cradling his head. Tears, tiny, luminescent droplets clung to her lashes. "Hey," he said hoarsely. "You okay?" She blinked. "I just shared my soul with a human," she whispered. "I am surprisingly calm about it." "Welcome to the club," he replied. "Kismet, how long was I out?" "Approximately 6.4 seconds, Kismet said. "From your perspective, likely much longer." Neural activity spiked off the charts. "I considered calling an ambulance, then remembered we are alone on a hostile world, so I decided to panic quietly instead." "Appreciate the restraint." He squeezed Lysera's wrists gently, then pulled back just enough to look up at the sky. The Imperial Justice hung like a dark moon, its weapon spines beginning to glow as it dispatched dropships' sleek, spear-shaped craft hurtling toward the planet. "They're coming," he said. Lysera's tattoos brightened in grim acknowledgement. "Shadow squads. They will scour the crash site, then expand outward. They will not leave until they are certain all witnesses are dead." "Well," Jay said, rising and helping her onto the ramp, "I guess we should give them something else to shoot at." "This plan sounds unwise," she said. "Of course it is," he replied. "But if we can steal one of their dropships, access their internal systems, and broadcast your memories, we might be able to blow this whole thing galaxy-wide." She stared at him. "Steal. An Aurelian military vessel," she repeated slowly. "Yep, with an injured Aurelian witness and 1 very mortal human. 2 mortals, 1 AI, Kismet interjected. Lysera rubbed her temples. "I should have died in that ship," she muttered. "This is clearly a fever dream." He grinned. "Oh, it's worse than that. It's a human plan." Then he reached out his hand. "Come with me," he said. "Let's make your empire regret underestimating 1 salvage rat and 1 mistake that lived." She looked at his hand for a long moment. Her tendril hair drifted slightly as if stirred by an unseen current. Finally, slowly, she took it. "Very well," she said. "If we die, I will haunt you." He squeezed her fingers. "Deal." Behind them, the sky burned with incoming enemy craft. Ahead, the battered rust bucket waited, stubborn and ugly and absolutely theirs. Between the two, a war was about to start. Inside the rust bucket, the atmosphere changed. The cramped cockpit hummed with old engines and newer stolen upgrades. Panels flickered with mismatched alien characters, some Terran, some Aurelian, Some Jace's own jury-rigged icons that were essentially rude gestures translated into interface form. He eased Lysera into the co-pilot's chair, strapping her in with careful hands. She winced, but her gaze roamed the cockpit, taking it all in. "This ship is," she began, searching for a polite word. "Charming," Jace suggested. "Held together with stubbornness and adhesive," she finished. "Also love," he added. "I did not see that in the structural analysis. It's in the subtext." Kismet's avatar, a floating geometric construct, flickered onto a small hollow emitter between them. "Incoming Aurelian dropships, 3 vectoring toward the crash site. Estimated time to contact, 7 minutes. Plenty of time," Jace said, fingers flying over the controls. "We'll kick up, skim the dunes, exploit the dust haze to mask our signature. Then we wait for the nearest dropship. Pop up under its belly, latch on, and make it our dropship." Lysera blinked. "Is it truly that simple?" "Absolutely not," he said. "But if I start with the complicated version..." "You'll never get in the car. This is not a car. Details." The rust bucket groaned as its engines powered up. The cockpit vibrated, panels rattling in a familiar cacophony that Jace found almost soothing. Lysera not so much. She gripped the armrests, tattoos flickering with apprehension. "I am unaccustomed to Terran engineering." "You'll get used to the screaming," he assured her. "It's when things stop making noise you need to worry. Your species evolved past flight or fight, into fly and fight while everything is on fire," she muttered. "Pretty much." The shuttle lifted off, kicking up a swirling storm of crystalline dust. Jace kept it low, skimming just above the jagged terrain. The gas giant hung on the horizon, painting everything in bruised purple light. "Kismet, give me their approach vectors," Jace said. A tactical overlay appeared on the canopy, 3 crimson icons descending in a triangular formation. "They're focusing on the crash site," Kismet said. "Standard containment protocol. They'll secure the area, verify all crew dead, incinerate any remaining data, then perform a planetary sweep for residual witness signatures. So if they don't find Lysera's body, they sweep until they do," Jace said. "Correct. Then let's make sure they're too busy with us to be thorough." Lysera turned her head, studying him. "You are disturbingly eager to antagonize an Imperial battlecruiser." He shrugged. "Some people collect stamps. I collect grudges." Her lips curved. "You saw my memories," she said softly. "You know the things I have witnessed. The worlds they erased." He nodded, jaw tightening. "Yeah, I saw. And I'm not sleeping that off with a drink and a shrug." "Most would," she said. "Most aren't human," he replied. "We're bad at pretending other people's pain isn't our problem." She looked away quickly, blinking back another luminous tear. He pretended not to notice. They reached the edge of the wreckage field just as the first dropship descended. It was a sleek shard of black metal, wings unfolding like a predator's. Its hull glowed with golden runes, engines emitting a low, menacing hum. It cast a long shadow over the broken skeleton of the Sailthur. "Closest target," Kismet confirmed. "Recommended approach. Do not approach." "Noted," Jace said. Doing the opposite. He dipped the rust bucket lower, skimming behind a ridge to break line of sight with the dropship. Dust swirled around them, static crackling in the cum. "Lysera," he said. "If we latch onto their underbelly, can you spoof their transponder when they call for a status check?" She hesitated. "Yes, if I can touch their systems. Their security patterns are familiar to me." "Good. I'll get us in kissing range." Kismet, prepare the mag clamps. "Jace," Kismet said carefully, "I must remind you that this plan falls somewhere between reckless and suicidal on most recognized scales." "Yeah, but it's romantic," Jace said. "I am not sure that word applies here," Lysera said. "Trust me. You, me, enemy gunship, high-speed latching maneuver. It's a vibe." She stared at him. Slowly, very slowly, the corners of her mouth lifted. "You are infuriating," she murmured. "And luminous." He blinked. "Is that your language's version of ridiculously handsome?" "It is my language's version of you burn too brightly and will probably explode," she said. "I'll take it." He pulled the shuttle up and around in a wide arc, coming in low under the dropship's aft quarter. Kismet dimmed their signature, cycling through stolen IFF codes in rapid succession to muddy any scams. On the canopy, the dropship grew larger, its armored belly filling the view. Exhaust ports glowed. Weapons bays opened and closed as it cycled readiness checks. 500 meters, Kismet said. 300, 200. Mag clamps primed, Jace said, hands steady on the controls. Lysera, ready on the uplink. She drew a breath, one hand hovering over the interface conduit on her console. As ready as one can be for an act of treason? Perfect. At 50 meters, the dropship's proximity sensors would normally scream and activate defense measures. But Kismet flooded the local net with false data, a glitch here, a self-test ping there, just enough noise to make their approach look like static. 50 meters, Kismet said. 40, 30, if we miss this, we die. Dramatic, Jace muttered. I like it. He nudged the throttles, aligning them with the dropship's vector, matching speed as closely as he dared. The hull loomed, a dark metal ceiling inches above them. 10 meters, Kismet said. 5. Jace slammed the clamp release. The shuttle lurched as the mag clamps fired, anchoring hard onto the dropship's underside with a bone-jarring clang. For a moment, everything shook. Then their vector stabilized, synced with the larger craft. Jace exhaled. And that, kids, is docking the unsafe way. Lysera sagged slightly with relief. We are attached? Yep, he said. Like a very angry barnacle. Up above, the dropship continued its descent, apparently unaware it now carried hitchhikers. Kismet, route Lysera into their systems, Jace said. A cable snaked from Lysera's console, clicking into an improvised port Jace had carved into the panel long ago with the intention of doing exactly this sort of stupid thing. Interface established, Kismet said. Lysera, you should be seeing their security handshake now. She closed her eyes, fingertips resting lightly on the console. Her tattoos brightened, flowing patterns reflecting shifting codes. I see it, she said softly. Old algorithms, but layered with something new. Cleansing protocol. They have authorization to incinerate all organic matter in a targeted radius if contamination is detected. Including us, Jace said. Yes, she replied. Can you override it? Not remotely, she said, but I can misdirect it. If it fires, it will burn the wrong coordinates. Good enough for now, Jace said. Any way to patch into their comms? Yes. Then when Admiral Serath checks in, I want him to hear exactly what he expects to hear. Right up until it's too late. Lysera opened her eyes and looked at him. You are not merely trying to survive, she said slowly. You intend to strike back. Yeah, Jace said. You showed me what they've done. I'm not wired to just run from that. This is not just one admiral, she said. This is an empire. Empires fall, he replied quietly. All it takes is enough people deciding they're done being stepped on. Sometimes they need a spark. Sometimes a story. Witness testimony broadcast across every channel. From the Empire's own throat. She stared at him, something like awe in her eyes. You humans, she whispered, are not merely orcs. You are wildfires. He smiled crookily. And you, Lysera, are about to be the match. Her gaze softened, heat blooming in her cheeks. Then let us burn, carefully. Outside, the dropship roared toward the wreckage. Inside, in the cramped cockpit of a junker shuttle glued to its belly, a human and an Aurelian witness leaned close over stolen consoles, their minds still faintly linked, hearts beating a little too fast, not just from fear. The war crimes of an empire waited in Lysera's memories. The courage of one stubborn human burned around them. And somewhere far above, Admiral Serath Vall turned in his chair, sensing a ripple he did not yet understand in the carefully controlled tapestry of his domain.